じゃあ、OK。じゃあ、日本語さんの皆さん、こんにちは。そうですね。今日のレッスン始めましょう。まず、今日のスタートですね。これは、前に、説明しましたけれども、その、レッスン、1か2の、activity worksheet ですね。So, today what we're going to go ahead and do is your activity worksheet that I explained last class. So, if I forget to give you guys the worksheet, just go ahead and remind me. And also, don't show your partners your worksheet, right? So again, I didn't include the picture this time so that you can't see it, because you would see some of the answers for your classmates' picture. But you're either going to have a picture A or picture B, and you're going to ask your partner where the missing items are listed under the heading Find on your paper, okay? And on the bottom little box you have on your paper, you're going to go ahead and draw on those missing items. Now, if you want, you can do a preliminary kind of setup of the room, because the bed, the window, and I think the desk are all and the door are all in the same place. So if you want to just set up kind of the room format, and then you can go ahead and draw the images items in as your partner goes ahead and asks you guys where the items are, then you can do that. So again, what you'll normally do is you take whatever item you're looking for, such as a hon, and ask hon wa doko ni arimasu ka, right? And then your partner will use that new location pattern we practiced last time to go ahead and describe where the book is. So if you need to take out your notes from last class, go ahead and do that. So you can use that to help you with your activity worksheet today. So I anticipate this will take you guys about 10分、15分ぐらいですね。So 皆さん頑張ってください。Once you're finished, go ahead and pause this video, or sorry, once you're finished, go ahead and unpause the video, and then we can go ahead and pick up where we left off. はい。じゃあ続きましょう。Okay, so 今日はレッスン一課三を始めましょうね。So we're going to go ahead and start lesson 1-3. The baby is still one. It's a title, kind of funny. And again, if you guys would like to use your textbooks, you can grab that. For this lesson, it starts on 34ページ。So 34ページを開けてください。And you can see a little comic where they're getting that title from. But today's objectives, you guys will be able to use mo and mada to communicate still and not yet in Japanese. You guys will be able to identify and use the verbs in dictionary form. And we'll also have you guys practice or be able to discuss the importance of age, the Chinese zodiac, and birthday celebrations in Japan. Okay. じゃあ、はじめに、単語を学びましょう。じゃあ、今日のはじめの単語は、家です。家です。皆さんよくノートを書いてくださいね。そう、家です。そして remember, if you guys are, what was I going to say? If I'm going too fast, remember you can always pause the video and stop where you need to. Okay? So, ie is house. And this is our kanji for house. I think this one's kind of fun to write if you decide to learn it. 次は、銀行。銀行。銀行は英語で bank と言います。銀行です。Okay. So if you notice here in this kanji, you guys might have seen this one before. What do we use this character here? Do you guys remember? This is used in kin, as in kinyobi, or kanji means what? It means gold, right? So it makes sense. We're talking about the bank. It's where the gold goes, right? Okay. 銀行です。次は、公園。公園です。はい。 公園です。It's kind of a nice looking 公園. It's got some interesting birds, right? 公園。はい。次は、寮です。So, if you're in college, you live on campus and a dormitory, you could say you live in the 寮. So here's an example of a 寮. Okay, 寮. はい。次は、赤ちゃんです。これは赤ちゃんです。Do you guys remember what the meaning of aka or akai is? That would be red, just like my little laser pointer here. And this is a kanji for red right here, so it's a little red chan, right? I'm assuming they gave that name to babies because maybe when they're first born, they look kind of red. That's my guess. I had a friend in high school who was a redhead, and we'd call him Aka-chan sometimes, and he didn't like it. So, hi, Aka-chan desu. Of course, you probably already know this, but chan is an ending, of course, we used to address or refer to young, small, cute animals or children. All right, so I call my cats. We have Ku-chan, Jin-chan, and then Mochi-kun, because well, he's a boy, so we're differentiating. Hi, Sugi. Okay, so our first phrase we're learning here is mada plus, and the AFF is just stand for affirmative. And this means, so when you use mada with something affirmative sentence, a positive sentence, it means still. Okay, mada. Our next one, mo, with a negative sentence with a negative ending to it, is going to mean not anymore. Not anymore. So again, we have mo, mada, and mo. And we're going to talk about that one a little bit more. It can be a little bit confusing at first. Let's keep going. Chatsugi. This is a really great pattern. I actually love this one a lot, and I'll try to use it from here on out to help you guys practice. So you can, really cool, you just take your topic and put ni tsuite, and you can say about this topic. So I could say, Kyou, gudetama ni tsuite hanashimashou. So today, let's talk about gudetama, right? Or I could say, そうですね。今日、iPhone について話しましょう。Okay? So you can pick whatever topic you want. You could say, anime について about anime. So you can attach that and use について. It's really useful, especially when you're introducing a topic. So when you're writing an essay or something like that, this is a really good pattern to use. はい。次。紹介をします. So this is considered one of our, what is it called? I call them the noun verbs or suru verbs, where you can take your noun, right, and then add shimas or suru to the end of it, and it becomes a verb, right? So shokai means introduction, okay? And when you put shimas to it, it becomes shokai o shimas. Now with these suru verbs, remember, you don't have to have the o in there. You can actually leave it out, and more often than not, I leave it out because you don't really need it, right? Why make things harder if you don't need it? So you can take it out and just pretend it's shokai shimasu. So if you want to introduce someone to another person, you can say shokai shimasu. I can say, すみません。これをちょっとグレタマを紹介します. I'm going to introduce you to グレタマ, right? So if you wanted to do something like that, you can go ahead and introduce your friend. はい。次. Our next word is 自己紹介. So by itself, of course, just like our other verb, this is one of our suru verbs or noun verbs. And our word 自己紹介 by itself will be self-introduction. So we can just add shimas or suru to the end of it, and it becomes a verb to do a self-introduction. So when you're introducing yourself for someone to the first time, if it's formal enough, then you can go ahead and say 自己紹介をします or 自己紹介します and then go ahead and introduce yourself like はじめまして、私は福田と申します and go on and introduce yourself. So 自己紹介. So that's a really important word. Don't forget 自己紹介 and 自己紹介します. はい. Oh, and also, of course, the te form of this would just be して, right? So 自己紹介してください. So if I wanted you to introduce yourself, I could say 自己紹介してください. You know that I want you to do a self-introduction. はい。はい。ついた単語です。これはついたの単語です。Again, you can find the vocabulary in the textbook and copy them from there if you'd like. But here are vocabulary from the other extra vocabulary. So we have アパート. This is, of course, an important word. アパート. It's a word for apartment. Okay, so you can say アパートに住んでいます. Our next one is マンション. Mansion. This one's confusing because when we hear the word mansion in English, we think of someone who lives in a giant house, a giant mansion, right? Well, when you think of a mansion, what is one of the defining features? Well, that would be that it has many rooms. So the Japanese kind of borrowed this word and they applied it to a place that has many rooms, but not necessarily for one owner, right? A condominium has many rooms, but of course, those individual apato are for individual people. So that's maybe kind of how that came about. Of course, our next one is hoteru. Hoteru. So if you are going to stay in a hotel, it'll be hoteru. はい。次は、郵便局. 郵便局 is our word for post office. 郵便 is like mail. Right? 郵便局です. So 郵便局は、大切ですね. In Japan, 郵便局 actually has some added features. You can actually have a kind of like a bank account at the 郵便局. It's really interesting. And you can access different things there. 次は、映画館. 映画館. We already know, of course, 映画 is our word for movie. 映画館 is a place for movies, right? Our movie theater. Okay. So 映画館です. じゃあ最後は、読めますか? Can you read this one? So we have ガソリンスタンド. ガソリンスタンド. Gasoline stand, right? Or in English, we just call it gas station. Okay. So those are your extra 単語. 皆さんよくノートを書いてくださいね. When you're finished with your notes, go ahead and unpause the video. はい。じゃあ次. We're going to go ahead and jump into our bunpo for this lesson. So our first grammar principle is mada and mo. Okay, so 皆さんよくノートを書いてください. So our first, this one's kind of interesting because depending on how that the sentence ends, whether it has a positive ending or a negative ending, will change the meaning of mada and mo. Okay, so if you have, and you can find this again in the book, I switched the order of these, how they were listed, because I felt like it made it more sense to list it like this. So just know it's different from the book, so careful when you're taking notes. So if we have mada, and it's a sentence that ends positively, right, meaning it ends in something like mas or mashita, right, then it's going to mean still. Okay, and usually attach it kind of to the front. If you are using mada, but the ending of your sentence is negative, such as masen or masen deshita, it's going to mean not yet. Okay, so for example, I can say mada hono yomimasu. I'm still going to read a book, right? Versus mada hono yomimasen deshita. I still haven't read the book. Okay, I haven't yet read it, right? And then our next one, mo, with a positive ending is going to mean already. Okay, so I can say mo hono yomimashita. I already read the book, right? Because we have our positive ending there. Mo with a negative ending is going to mean not anymore. So, like I can say, mo chugakusei de wa arimasen, right? Because we're ending with that negative ending, right? We're basically saying I'm not a middle school student anymore, right? Let's look at the examples we have in our text. So here's our first one. お兄さんはまだサンフランシスコに住んでいますか? お兄さんはまだサンフランシスコに住んでいますか? Okay, so we're using our word mada here. And let's take a look at the ending. How are we ending here? Sunde imasu. Is this an affirmative ending or a negative ending? This would be a affirmative ending. Good. So if we're using mada, that's going to mean still, correct? So let's take a look. Oni-san wa mada San Francisco ni sunde imasu ka? So what does that mean? Take a minute, think about it. So Oni-san is our someone's older brother, right? You're asking about someone's older brother. And we know it's affirmative, ending with mada, so it's still. So brother is still. And then San Francisco is, as you guessed, San Francisco. Ni sunde imasu ka? So sunde imasu, remember, means to live or reside. So we're asking, does your older brother still reside in San Francisco or still live in San Francisco? Let's see how they answered. Our person replies, Iie, ani wa mou San Francisco ni sunde imasen. Right? Iie, ani wa mou San Francisco ni sunde imasen. Okay? So now we're using mou, right? So let's take it mou, and then how is our sentence ending? Is this affirmative or negative? This would be negative, right? So if we're using mou and it's negative, let's take a look. It would say not anymore. I think that makes sense as an answer, right? To the question, is he still living in San Francisco? We're answering no. My brother is not, he's not living in San Francisco anymore, right? This is the confusing part, I think, is that in English, we have to rework our sentences so much to get it to make sense, like to match the Japanese, right? And so at first, the way that everything is ordered, again, can be a little bit confusing. It just takes some practice, okay? Let's look at our next one. So here's a question, right? もう宿題をしましたか? もう宿題をしましたか? Well, we already know this first part, right? 宿題を, or this part here, 宿題をしましたか? What would that mean by itself? Did you do your homework, right? Because we know it's past tense. So did you do your homework? And this is a word for homework. Well, if we stick mo in there, mo in its affirmative form will be already. So instead of just saying, did you do your homework? When I said, did you already do your homework, right? Did you already do your homework? Okay. And again, 皆さんよくノートを書いてください. Feel free to make sure you write down some of these examples and the English meaning, right? So you can look back at it, use that to help you. Because when you get to the shukudai, you might get confused. Okay, so make sure you're writing that down. Again, you can always rewind this if you need to. Okay, so did you already do your homework? And then their answer, right? いいえ、まだしていません. Right? So this is our te form of shimasu, right? していません. So mada in this case, because we're using imasen, the negative predicate with mada, we're meaning not yet. So no, I haven't done it yet. No, I haven't done it yet. Okay, so that's kind of the uses of mo and mada. Okay, let's practice it a little bit, right? So on the next slide, you don't necessarily have to take notes, of course, but I'd like you to kind of follow through, right? So renchu, right, practice. So choose the correct word in the parentheses to complete the sentences. So let's look at our first one. Mari-san says, blank, hono zenbu yomimashita ka? So hono zenbu yomimashita ka? So again, if you're getting confused, focus on the part that comes after our word mo or mada and try to translate that first. So hono zenbu yomimashita ka? So hon is book. Yomimashita, past tense for read, right? Zenbu means all, right? So think about it. Would you say mada hono zenbu yomimashita ka or mo hono zenbu yomimashita ka? Which one would make more sense? Take a look at your notes for a second and pick whether mo or mada. See if you're getting this. This is a check, way to help you check and see how you're doing with your vocabulary. Go ahead and pause it once you've come up with your answer. いいですか? じゃあ行きましょう. If you picked mo, you are correct. Okay? So we're basically asking, right? Have you already read the whole book? Remember, if you didn't remember, zenbu means all of it. right? So mo, ho, zenbu yomi. Did you read the book all the way through? Did you read all of the book, right? Let's see our second part. So Ken is replying back to Mari-san's question, right? He says, Iie, zenbu yonde imasen. Zenbu yonde imasen, right? So zenbu is still in there again, and then yonde imasen. It's our negative, right? So he's going to say, mo zenbu yonde imasen, or mada zenbu yonde imasen. Take a minute, figure out what your answer would be, and then go ahead and unpause when you have your answer, when you have your choice. If you picked mada, you are correct. So Ie mada zenbu yonde imasen. I have not yet read it all, right? So in this case, we're meaning the word not yet. Okay, he's not yet read it all. Right, couple more to look at. Mari-san says, blank, hono yonde imasu ka? Hono yonde imasu ka? When we put yomu or yomimasu into the te imasu form, what are we saying? We're saying reading, right? So yonde imasu ka? Are you reading the book, right? So in this case, think about what mo would mean with this positive ending, what mada would mean with this positive ending. Which one makes sense? Take a second, think about it, and then pause once you've got your answer, and let's see if you got it right. If you picked mada, you are correct. Or let me think. This is tricky, isn't it? Mo. This is why even sensei gets confused. So let's see. Mada hono yonde imasu ka? Are you? I think in this case could mean, are you still reading the book, right? Yeah. So in this case, we want to have this meaning still. Yep. Just making sure I did it right. Okay. And our last one, Ken, of course, is going to respond. Iie, zenbu yomimashita yo. Okay. Iie, zenbu yomimashita yo. So we're having a positive ending, right? Is he going to say mo or mada? What would those mean? Which one would he pick? Once you figure it out, go ahead and unpause and see if you got it right. If you picked mo, you are correct. In this case, he's saying I already, right? I've already read it all, right? Mo. So she's like, are you still reading it? Nope, I've already read it. Okay, so again, practicing with mo and mada is going to take a little bit, but they're really useful, of course, to use. So I think what makes it hard again is that the Japanese have kind of only 2 words to mean 4 different things, depending on negative or positive, whereas English, we have 4 different words to represent that. So it takes a while to kind of connect those 4 phrases to these words here, right? So sometimes it's just sitting down and thinking of a way, thinking through it if you need to. Ja, let's go ahead and move on. So, まだ皆さんノートを書いてください. So, next we're going to talk about the dictionary form of our verb, which I've probably mentioned before, right? So, if you don't know, again, the verb dictionary form is the form you would use to look up a verb in the dictionary, right? Or if you're looking in English, you're trying to find the word to explode, and you look it up, it's going to be in dictionary form when you look it up, okay? And this is also used in lots of grammatical structures, so you need to know the verbs in dictionary form. We're going to learn a pattern in the next lesson, or not next part of this lesson, using dictionary form, so you want to be comfortable with it. Another thing is, if you want to understand casual Japanese, you need to know dictionary form, because the casual or plain form of our verbs in mas form is dictionary form. So if you want to say yomimasu, dictionary form will be yomu, and that's what you're going to hear. Probably people speaking a lot in your anime, and you'll see in your manga, because they're probably in casual situations, right? And again, it's just like our mas form, as in our present mas form, because it's non-past affirmative, right? In this case, of course, it's our plain form. Okay. So let's talk about the dictionary form in the different types of verbs. So first, group 1 verbs, which are also known as godan verbs, right? Godan because those verbs sound changed into the 5 different vowel sounds, right? A, I, U, E, O. And so depending on the base you're changing the end of your verb to, you're going to change that ending sound, right, to meet that. So if you remember me talking about that last year, hopefully that's jogging your memory. But you can identify in this way. You can look at the verb stem, right, which is a portion of the verb that remains after dropping mas. So whatever you have left after you take off the mas. If there are 2 or more hiragana characters remaining in the verb stem, and if the final verb stem is an E ending sound, right, then the verb can usually be categorized as the group 1 or godan verb, okay? So whatever hiragana is coming right before that mas, if it's in an E hiragana, you're going to know that it's a godan verb, okay? And you'll be able to see that a little bit better when we go to the next slide. And again, to obtain the dictionary form for this verb, for these kinds of verbs, you have to change that E sound before that mas, before the mas, where the mas would be, to an U sound, its corresponding U sound. And again, when we look at the next slide, it will make a little bit more sense for you. So let's take a look. And again, take some notes on this. If you can summarize this better, go ahead and do that because it's a little wordy. But if you want to write it down, or you can do that. Let's move on. Hi. So here, as you can see, we have our hiragana chart, right? So I attached this little hiragana chart to kind of help you make sense of this, right? So as we talked about, again, our godan verbs, our group 1 verbs, they go ahead and they're going to have this sound, minus this one because no one uses these 2 characters, but they're going to have this kind of hiragana sound, the E sound, hiragana right before the mas. So let's take a look at some of those. If we look over here, we have the different types of E sounds that you're going to come across, right here. And then the examples of the verbs you're going to see. So, and if you notice here, unless you're really colorblind, sorry, you'll be able to see here that sound is highlighted in red for you. Okay, so if you take your notes on these, which I recommend that you do, you will see that that will kind of help you keep track of what's going on. So these are some verbs that all have that mi in them, right? So no mi, mas, and you'll see it's the hiragana before the mas, right? And these words have at least 2 hiragana in these verbs, right? So we have no mimas, which means to drink. And of course, what we do is we take this mi before the mas, and we're going to change it to its corresponding u sound. So if we go over here, we find mi, we're going to drop down, and the corresponding one would be mu. So our verb is going to change to nomu, right? Same thing with yomimas, right? Yomimas is going to correspond to, or change to its corresponding u sound, so it's going to become yomu. Same thing with yasumimas. We're going to change that mi at the end, and it's going to become yasumu, right? So everything before that is going to stay the same, just that last sound before the mas will change, and that will change it into your dictionary form, okay? Dictionary form, right there, yasumu. Okay, our next one, what verbs that have the ni instead? So shinimas, to die. Of course, it's a ni, so we look at ni, corresponding u sound is going to be nu, so it's going to become shinu, right? Our next one is B. So if we look up here, technically B is not on here, but all we need to do is add the dakten to change it to this one. So when we drop the B down, it's going to become osa asobu, okay? Asobu, right? Next one, aimas. Again, our hiragana before the mas is an E sound. We're going to change it to its corresponding U. That one's easy. E to U. Au, to meet. And then we have kachimas, to win. Of course, this one's kind of confusing unless you see the chart, right? So we have our chi. If we go to a corresponding U, it's su. So it's going to be katsu, okay, to win. Wakarimas. Wakarimas, of course, if it ends in a D sound, it's going to switch over to ru, right? Ni to ru. So wakaru. Same thing with shirimas, to get to know. Shiru. Arimas, right, becomes aru. Okay. Ki, of course, is going to switch down to ku. So kikimasu becomes kiku. Ikimasu becomes iku, right? Arukimasu, to walk, becomes aruku. So pretty straightforward. It's just remembering that pattern, right? If you can get the pattern down, you can understand it, okay? Let's see. And then our next one will be ogi. So oyogimasu will become oyogu, okay? And then shi. So if we have the shi, right? If we go over here, shi becomes su. So hanashimasu becomes hanasu. Again, I'm so sorry. I realized up here, my webcam's probably blocking some of these. So make sure you look in your textbook for this. This chart is exactly the same as the one in the textbook. So if you can't see that corner where my webcam is, you can find it in the book. So I forgot to adjust that for the slide. So go ahead and copy this chart down. I know some of you are thinking, yeah, I get it. Or, yeah, I'll remember. But the act of writing it down will help you remember better, help you get down that pattern, okay? じゃあ、続きましょう. Okay, our next. Still verb dictionary form, but now we're going to talk about our group 2 verbs, or also known as ichidan verbs. Again, these are the easy verbs, right? These are easy ones. They can be identified by the verb stem, right? The part without the mas. It ends in an eh sounding hiragana, right? Or it's a stem with only one hiragana, okay? There are a few exceptions that must be learned as special verbs are to this, where they sometimes look like the godan verbs, but they're not. So it takes a little bit of practice. And then the group 2 or ichidan dictionary forms are created by dropping the mas and adding ru. That's it. To drop mas, add ru. So let's take a look. Again, so if you look at this, when we cut off the mas, we'll see that the sound before the mas is an e sound. So we know that it's a ichidan or group 2 verb. This one means can be seen. So all we have to do is drop the mas and add ru, mieru. Next one, kikoe mas, ends in an a sound. So we know it's a group 2 or ichidan verb. Drop the mas and it becomes kikoeru. Okay. Our next one is tabemasu. Okay. And again, if my webcam is cutting off a little bit, you can find the little bit that's cut off in your book. Okay. But tabemasu, again, it ends in an a sound. So right, we go over here to our elan. It has one of these a sounds in it, right? So tabemasu becomes taberu. Mimasu becomes miru. So these ones are one hiragana examples. Imasu becomes iru. Nemasu becomes neru. So far, so good, right? And then we have a special one, okimasu, even though it looks, when we look at it, it looks, oh, it ends in e, it looks like a godan verb. It's actually an ichidan or a group 2 verb. So it becomes okiru. Okay. So those are our right, different types of verbs, okay? Our last type is our irregular verbs. Remember, we have 3 main irregular verbs. When we use te form, iki or ikimasu to go is kind of an irregular verb, but the only ones you really need to worry about for dictionary form is kimasu, to come, is going to just turn into kuru. Shimasu will become shuru, suru. And of course, any of our noun verbs are going to become suru as well. So benkyou shimasu becomes benkyou suru. Okay. And again, when it comes to these ones, you're just going to have to memorize the patterns for these 3. So again, make sure you take good notes. So noteをよく書いてください. And we'll move on. Okay, so that's kind of the bulk of our bunpo today. We're going to go ahead and move on to our bunka noto. So 皆さん, if you haven't already, 教科書を出してください. And you're going to go ahead and do a little bit of reading. So I want you to read about age, the Chinese zodiac, and traditional birthday celebrations on 38, 39 page, okay, in our textbook. And ここに書いてあるの質問を答えてください. So go ahead and answer the questions on paper. So first, how is, after reading about Japan, how is age measured in your culture? Whether you feel like you're American culture, or if you're if you have American culture, but maybe another culture, maybe you're Hispanic, Filipino, Thai, Cambodian, wherever you come from. If you have another culture that impacts how your family interacts with each other, how do we measure age in your culture? Tell us about it. And what culture are you talking about? Is it the same or different from Japan? If it's different, do you know any other cultures that are similar to Japan with counting age? If you happen to know about that. Number 2, what is your Chinese zodiac animal? Okay, so go ahead, open up Google and search if you don't know what it is. Search it, go ahead and search, and if you do know, go ahead and search anyways so that you can read a little bit about your description of your zodiac animal. Okay, after reading that, do you feel like it matches you or doesn't match you, right? What parts do you feel like match, what parts don't? Just give me a little brief summary of that, okay? And why do you think it does or doesn't, right? And then the last question, right? What age or ages are considered important in your culture, whether that's American culture or another culture that you feel connected to? And how do those celebrations compare to the Japanese Seijin no Hi, right? Or Seijin Shiki, the coming of age? Do the celebrations sound similar? Are they different? Right? Here's the thought if you want to write about. If you could choose, like say maybe you're Hispanic and you have the quinceanera or something similar, right? If you were Jewish, you'd be ba mitzvah or bar mitzvah. Okay? If you have one of those coming of age celebrations, would you rather, or maybe even Sweet 16, right? Or when you turn 21, would you want to celebrate the Japanese Seiji no Hi, or would you rather celebrate your celebration? Why? Tell me about that. And then, are there any other ages in your culture that are bad luck or considered important? What ages are milestones? Do you have any that you've thought about? Are there any that are bad luck? Let me know if they're about those, okay? And that's all you have to do. Just respond to those different questions on a sheet of paper. That's one of your assignments you'll be turning in. Of course, also with your activity worksheet, okay? And then I'm going to talk about our next part in just a sec. Before I actually continue on, starting class tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and put out baskets for the assignments. So I'll have the period listed for your class, and I want you guys starting today and when I'm absent to go ahead and turn in your assignments as you complete them in those baskets. Okay, and then that will make it easier so that I don't have to worry about a sub trying to collect them and keep them organized while I might have multiple different substitutes coming in. So just go ahead and put them in the baskets in the back of the class by the pencil sharpener, okay? Awesome. So your homework or classwork, if you get it done, and like I said again, you will have until I return on the 5th of October to turn in your work. But make sure, again, turn it in as you do it so that you don't lose it and you don't forget to do it, okay? But I recognize that the pacing may go faster or slower than I anticipate, so go ahead and turn it in as you can. So first again, make sure you answer those questions about the culture notes and turn that in. And number 2 is to complete the worksheet Ichika-san, right? 1K3. And I'm going to go ahead and give a simple explanation of what you're supposed to do on that worksheet in the next slide, so that should be helpful. Okay, so let's take a look really quick. So first, for our wakushito, one thing I want to talk about really quick for you guys. I know you guys, Nihongo-san, you do pretty good, but just so you understand, it is your responsibility, right, to stay on top of your work and take responsibility as you're becoming adults. So here's some notes about getting help and steps a college student might take to find answers. Number 1, first try it by yourself. See if you actually know how to do it or if you can figure it out, right? Don't just look at something you've never seen and give up, right? So read carefully, read the instructions carefully. That will be a key. Number 2, if you don't know, look at your resources. Take a look at your notes. Take a look at the textbook. Google it. You have a lot of resources available to you, especially ones that I didn't have growing up. Number 3, go ahead, ask a classmate. Okay, maybe you don't understand it, and you guys are kind of pretty good at this. Ask a classmate, find out if someone you can talk to can help you, right? So it sounds like you guys have been collaborating a lot, so make sure you're collaborating and not just copying, right? Make sure you're learning in the process, not just taking someone else's answers, because then you're not learning, right? And last one, of course, number 4, go ahead and ask your sensei. Okay, so if you just can't figure it out, if you're in class, raise your hand. If not, you can go ahead and send me a message and remind, or you can send me an email. Just contact me, let me know so I can help you out. Okay. Mochi-kun! Shh! うるさいですよ。おいで。Mochi-kun, おいで。おいで。Mochi-kun. Come here. Here's Mochi-kun. Say hi, Mochi-kun. Yahoo! Yeah. じゃあ、うるさくしないでくださいね。静かにしてね。It's my kitty. Okay, so there's your treat for the day. You can see my kitty. So our shukudai, let's go ahead and jump into that. So part A, you need to circle the most appropriate word, right? Whether you're going to use mo or mada. So look at the English example to help you. And then pay attention to the ending, right? Is it positive or negative? And that will help you do the first part, A, okay? So yeah, again, look at your notes and look at those rules. Next, part 2. See, do I have, oh yeah, I didn't really put anything on the side. It's blank. So your Japanese friend has arrived in Japan. You want to ask the following questions, right? But the words you want to use are too formal. So change them to the informal forms. So you're going to ask your friend, right, questions, but you don't want to sound too casual. And if you ask Ravi-san, he's been exposed to this a little bit as he's made friends online, talking to them in Japanese, that they like using informal form a lot. So go ahead and you're going to take all the verbs here, just the verb part, and you're going to change it into its dictionary form, okay? And see if you can understand what each of these would turn into, right? What questions are you asking your friend, okay? That's all you have to do. And go ahead and use hiragana, right? And the reason why we want you to use hiragana, especially in this one, is to make sure you understand how the verb changes. We want to make sure you're getting the pronunciation change, okay? Next, part C. So we look here. This one might be the most time-consuming part. So you're going to read the passage and follow the instructions. So part 1, you're going to circle the correct particles, right, in the passage. So read through the passage and try to pick the right particles. Pay attention. The particle is going to change, right, depending on the verb you're using. Mochi. Okay, so you're going to pay attention to what the verb is, and that's going to help you know for some of these, right? Okay. So go ahead and read through that and pick the correct particles. And then you're going to listen, look at these questions, figure out what the question's asking. And sometimes it's easier to read it without the mo-mada part in it. And then go ahead and add it and see which one makes sense and circle the correct word. Okay, so after understanding your passage above, you're going to answer these. You're basically going to make these statements about it. Okay, this one, take your time on it. It's a little bit tricky. Okay, it's going to be probably the hardest part on the worksheet because, again, mo and mada are a little bit confusing. So take your time on it. Feel free to write in English if you need to. Pull out your notes, right? And then, of course, the last part is your kanji kona, right? So write the underlined hiragana in kanji, underline kanji in hiragana, and include okurigana if necessary. So if you don't know yet, okurigana is the hiragana you have to add after a kanji if it needs it. So, and this happens a lot with our verbs, right? And our adjectives. So if you're going to write, you might have to write part of that part in kanji, but you might have some hiragana you have to add to the end to make it accurate. So make sure you practice these and fill in the kanji, okay? And that, my friends, is your wahakushito, your worksheet for this time, okay? So I anticipate that you guys should get through a good chunk of this. Again, if we don't finish it in class today, we'll probably just pick up where we left off, and you guys can continue working on it in class. If you're hardcore, you can go ahead and work ahead. I'll try, because especially this week as I'm setting up these videos, I'm going to have these prepared ahead of time. You guys can work at your pace that you're comfortable with, aside from the activity worksheets, right? You kind of need each other to work on those. So, and feel free to help each other out. But that is your worksheet. So, 皆さん、頑張ってください。じゃあ、また後でね。バイバイ。I'm not good at this.